changing their colors. It does look like they have chosen Metalopolis for map number 2, and I feel like I'm just saying Metalopolis, Metalopolis, Metalopolis
yeah,
for game 2.
Love choosing Metalopolis because it is the perhaps no standard map. There's really very few gimmicks on it. Lost Temple, another standard map, but there's that cliff overlooking your high ground. That feels a little bit weird. Steps of War, really close positions. But Metalopolis, generally very far apart, a lot of expansions to take, and this is going to be Slush's comfort zone, and ooh, Slush is going to be very happy. He is not in proxy positions. He is at the bottom as the red Zerg, because again, he is the favored player in this series, and in the left is TT1 as the blue Protoss.
An interesting dynamic about this map is the spawn locations. We've seen time and time again on this map, simply because players have chosen a lot, that where you spawn in relation to your opponent is going to dictate the pace of the game, and you really have to have build orders prepared just based specifically on where you spawn on the map. And a lot of people may not realize how huge of a difference that can make on 4-player maps, because it basically changes the dynamic of where your units are going to be, where you need to send your units at what time, completely changes the pace of the game, and SLush is going to be able to scout his opponent very, very early and know exactly what's up right from the start.
Absolutely, and as we can see just looking at the mini-map, when SLush takes his natural expansion, he's expanding away from TT1, and his third base expanding away from TT1. If TT1 was at this right position, no matter where Zerg chose to expand, he would be putting himself closer and closer to that Protoss. So players always need to have 2 build orders prepared on this map at least, and it looks like SLush is poking in at the very outside edge. Let's see if he will back off and try to hide his position.
A lot of Zerg players do want to do that, where if you can back it out just in time, that you won't reveal to your opponent exactly where you are, although I think that pylon is actually going to spot it there. But not a bad choice to do that either, because if you're getting proxied, you want to make sure you know about it. You want to know if there's going to be any buildings outside your base, you know, some sort of 2-gate play in the center of the map. And so he's like, it's worth it to reveal my location. One thing I've seen players do, though, is they will send that Overlord back and quickly send a drone out to try and confuse your opponent as to where exactly they are. And there is actually going to be a 2-gate, but it isn't proxied.
Yeah, 2-gate, always a strong opening against Zerg. You get so many Zealots that you force the Zerg to either go 1-base Roach or 1-base lots of Zerglings. Again, you deny an expansion. The really tip-top Zerg players figure out ways to be able to defend that expansion, but it's still so tough that most even opt not to. And look at TT1 saving up that Chrono Boost, Chrono boosting that first Zealot right off the bat, rally to his opponent's base. Let's see how SLush is going to respond.
I do like TT1's confidence here. He's like, an Overlord scouting this, I don't even care, man, because I can make 2-gate work. And it's really important to note that it does force the Zerg on 1 base, like you said, and players trying to defend against that. I've seen Hydra do it, try and defend this countless times, and you really are forced into a situation where you are on the 1 base. The Roach Warren is just now going down for SLush, so he's going to play it more standard. This is what the majority of Zerg players would do, because if you don't cancel your hatchery and it gets destroyed, I mean, you are so far behind, and you definitely don't want to be far behind against a 2-gate, because if you can hold it off, at least you're in a fairly comfortable position.
Yeah, and one thing you've heard us say so many times, that what makes a good player good is little tiny advantages, and somehow TT1 has managed to sneak in an assimilator while only delaying his Zealot production by just a very tiny amount. That is so good, because as we can see, he's getting his Cybernetics core. Most often when you do make that many Zealots early on, you don't have enough money for gas, you get delayed with your tech, but not TT1, playing very well. SLush finally getting that Roach Warren out and is going to be able to expand very soon.
I really like how TT1 has stopped making Zealots here to get his macro back on track. I think what he wants to do is dictate the pace of the game here, where he forced his opponent onto 1-base Roach. I mean, SLush is forced to get out a couple of Roaches to hold this rush, and so TT1 is probably really, really confident going against this, because, I mean, that's a pretty standard, basically, build order for the Zerg in reaction to dealing with this 2-gate attack, and so TT1 is probably pretty comfortable right now, because he basically forced the Zerg into going this build, so we'll see what he has in store to respond to it.
And here's the magic of 2-gate. It's just getting 2 Stalkers out. Even 1 Stalker out plus Zealots, so hard for Zerg to deal with. I'm loving the fact that SLush is getting Zergling speed. That's going to help him be able to deny this. But again, the Roaches are so good against Zealots until 1 or 2 Stalkers pop out. So TT1 has a huge window to be aggressive. Again, let's see if he decides to do it. His second gas has just gone down. He's also getting Warp Gate. He's continuing to not miss any pylons. Very hard to do. When you're in a tough tournament situation, you get tunnel vision, you forget about that. But again, very solid play by both players.
So what do you expect TT1 to be doing after this response? Because he does have those 2 Stalkers, but what kind of tech path would he go?
Why is he not attacking? That's what I'm thinking. You should move out to attack. Sure, you can wait for a sentry, so that way you can force field your ramps, so you can play defensively against a counter, but you should be moving out. SLush is getting the huge chance to make a lot of Zerglings now, and there's a Baneling nest going down.
Once again.
Very interesting play by SLush, and here comes TT1, finally moving down the ramp. And now pulling back, that is, I do not like that. I'm not even seeing him make any other tech structures. Is it going to be a Robo Bay? Oh, it's a Stargate. Man, that's a very, very unusual play by TT1.
Definitely getting that Stargate out a little bit late, and I'm wondering if SLush is hoping that TT1 just kind of stays at his door, because one Baneling at that door, if it splashes all those units, it could definitely be lights out for TT1, so it's kind of curious that he is not moving out, as I think the Banelings, at least a couple, will be done by the time he can actually march out across the map. Do note, though, that SLush has his own expansion on the way right now. No drones mining from that location yet. There are so many Speedlings on the map right now, and a little back and forth here, as TT1 is not sure if he wants to push out quite yet or not. He is still researching warp gates, and his Stargate should be finished here pretty soon.
And this is an extremely unusual play. This is very all-in-ish from TT1. He has 4 unit-producing structures, and again, the Stargate is one of the most expensive ones because Void Ray's coming out. Look at TT1 even saving up that Chrono Boost for those Void Rays, and it looks like SLush just going for a big all-in counterattack of his own. No drones in the main, nothing but Zerglings being produced, actually. Oh, this could be a huge trade coming up right now as SLush has almost no anti-air, and SLush actually running the wrong way up here. It looks like there might be an army trade. No, it looks like they're not going to try to swap mains. TT1, I think, is actually in the mood to do it. Does he have any sentries out? Oh no, TT1 is going to get caught completely off guard.
This army is going to go down, at least that half of it. I don't know what the rest of these units can do.
Oh,
do note that TT1 blocked his entrance.
Oh, and the Banelings do a huge detonation, taking out tons of units. One lone Zealot didn't even have time to retreat, and SLush is in a glorious position, but he needs to get more Queens up, as there are Void Rays en route, and just rally directly into the main, and there it is. SLush needs to begin making as many of those as he can, and oh, no sentries! He didn't make any sentries, but there is a wall off there. He will be able to do a little bit of damage. Roach is trying to come up. These Void Rays could potentially win him the game. That is fully charged. Oh, SLush might crumble right here after getting a huge lead.
TT1 keeping his composure here. He does have the Void Ray fully charged on that spawning pool, which is going to go down. No, he switches to the hatchery, and any queens that do spawn out of here are going to die almost immediately because he allowed them to charge up on these buildings.
A Baneling bust in the main. He is running right in. He has managed to get up into the main. He is surrounding all of these units. He did another Baneling detonation, but I still think that TT1 is going to be able to hold it off. It looks like Evolution Chamber going down, as these Void Rays are just ripping through the main. They have lost their charge. The Zerglings are still trying to do a lot of damage, but I do not think that SLush is going to have enough units.
I do like how TT1 able to squeeze out one last Void Ray, and I don't know what the Zerg player SLush can do about this, as TT1, yeah, he did get Baneling bust, but he did not take that much damage.
And there's the good game. 2 big all-in plays from TT1, managing to win it. TT1 again was in the losers bracket starting on round 2 and has managed to come through a lot of players. There are currently no more Zergs left in this tournament.
Yeah, poor SLush. The last Zerg is out of here. TT1, though, we have got to hand it to him. Getting knocked down to the losers bracket. Hasn't lost a game in ages. I think that's 4 rounds now that he has gone 2-0. He has got to be in the zone right now, so if you can keep that momentum going, you better watch out. This guy's definitely on fire.
The one thing that's concerning, though, is that as you get later and later in the tournament, those styles of play by TT1, the big one basing styles, get increasingly dangerous because a good player will always know how to defend that properly. So have to have good transitions planned on Desert Oasis. He walled himself in and literally couldn't expand if he wanted to. He was committed to it. That's a very strong play, but it's very dangerous as well.
It's definitely interesting, too, how he is comfortable walling himself completely in. I mean, that doesn't allow any units in, but if somehow there's a drop or something, it can be very difficult to deal with because then you have to kill your own buildings anyways. And it's interesting, definitely unique play style there, but it worked out, and I really like that on Desert Oasis. I think people can learn from that because the Zergling run-bys, that's what kills most Protoss on that map.
So we are going to be taking a look at some winners bracket games coming up in a little bit.